The Great Guitar Build of 2020 unofficial competition has come to a close, and we have, as voted for by you, a top 5. In at number 4 is Bogdan with his amazing, very limited budget build. Headless, he built, well, everything. Watch his video. And please click like, subscribe, and definitely follow the links to go and check out his channel and the entire build in its entirety. It's well worth the time. This is another one of those builds that I watched in real time during my judging phase. Anyway, thank you for your support, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome back to the final episode of what has been an incredible journey. My name is Bogdan, that's Bogdan. I'm not a guitar builder, but I've just gone ahead and built an entire guitar from scratch. And when I say entire guitar, I mean it. Every part of this guitar, except for the strings and frets, has been built from scratch. The entire build was done in a student accommodation room, and I also made an additional challenge for myself to only use tools and materials sourced from local hardware stores. Now let's see how this whole story went from the beginning, and I will show you the finished guitar in a little bit. So it all started with a trip to my local hardware store. There I found 2 oak staircase balusters which looked reasonably suitable for the neck of the guitar. Now before gluing them together, I had to carve out half of the truss rod channel in each of the balusters because I don't have a router or any sort of similar power tool that would allow me to carve it after it is glued. After the neck was glued, I had to make the fretboard. Now I made that from another oak strip which I found in the same store. I had to cut it in half, joint the edges, glue it together, and then radius it and cut the fret slots. It is also worth noting here that the dark color of the fretboard was achieved by using a chemical process called ebonizing. I then had to make a truss rod which I made out of some aluminium U-channel and some threaded rod which I found in the shop, and that actually came out surprisingly very well and it works perfectly. So after finishing the truss rod, I had to take care of the body sides. For that I used some beech that I found in the same store, but the problem with that was that it was a bit too thin for my neck. So to solve that, I used some plywood glued on top of it to reach the correct thickness. Now what the plywood allowed me to do was to follow my method of building this guitar, which is from the inside out. This practically allowed me to carve the electronics cavity before gluing the plywood on top. Following the same method, I also carved the pickup cavity before gluing the sides on. Once that was done, and the body sides were cut and shaped and everything looked fine, I could finally glue up the body sides to the neck. After the body sides got glued to the neck, it was then time to shape the neck. I achieved that using a spoke shave and a rasp, and after that was finished and everything looked nice, it was time to tackle the tuners and the pickup. After loads of prototypes and iterations, I finally settled on a 3D printed design for both the bridge and the tuners, and all I can say is that they do work and they hold the tuning, and there's nothing that can go wrong with it in the near future. So after the tuners were finished, I had to start working on the pickup, which was quite fun. Instead of winding my own coils, I used some already wound coils found in a microwave motor. So I put all that together, tested it out, carried a frequency analysis on that, and all I can say now is that it actually also sounds very nice. Now after that was done, I took some time to do a little bit of cosmetic work on the body. I inlaid some brass bars in the body, and I also took care of the fretboard inlays and of the side dots. Now in terms of paint job, I did some ebonizing on what was left of the plywood veneer, and it does look very beautiful, and I treated everything with a couple of coats of teak oil. I then made a brass tailpiece which goes on the headstock of the guitar, which holds the strings together. I then glued the frets on the fretboard and did some fret leveling, crowning and polishing, and made a brass nut, but because I don't have any nut slotting files, I had to take a slightly different approach for that. And then I got to the point where I started assembling everything together, did the wiring and put some strings on it, and the guitar is done. It looks amazing. I can definitely say it is a wonderful instrument. I could not expect anything better than this. This has turned out way better than I expected. I could not be happier with how this turned out. It looks, but more importantly, it also sounds good. So it works like a normal guitar, you just have to tune it from the bottom, which, you know, needs a little time to get used to. But apart from that, it is your normal guitar. It has a scale length of 628 millimeters, that is usually the Gibson scale, 20 frets, because I've salvaged the frets from an older guitar that someone has thrown away. I could only get 20 frets out of those guitars, so, you know, it is what it is. You can adjust the intonation, you can adjust the string height, you can adjust the pickup height, you have a volume and tone potentiometers, and we have a switch that switches from the single coil to a humbucker pickup. Now, this humbucker pickup is not a humbucker in its real sense. There is just a second coil underneath the main coil, which kind of takes the hum away. I will show you some audio samples of this, but it mostly only sounds like a single coil pickup, but that is completely fine. It actually does sound great. The fret job is good. There is no string buzz or anything else. There is no intonation problems. Everything really worked out very well. There is one last step before doing anything else, and that is put a logo on it. And with that, the guitar is now 100% complete. So let's now plug this in and see how it sounds. I don't have an amp. Do I have to now build my own amp from scratch? Anyways, I'm going to just plug it in my audio interface straight into my laptop, and I will record some clean samples of the guitar exactly how it is, and I will then use some effects just to see what you can get from this pickup. Okay, so let's see how everything sounds now. I'm going to start with the acoustic sound. As you can hear, it makes guitar sounds. It is tuned, it holds its tuning. But let's also hear the part that you came here for, the electric one. I'm going to start with just one coil, the one that is on top in the stack, the one that is the closest to the strings. So that was with the tone fully opened. I'm going to turn it all the way down. And I think I'm getting quite a wide range of tonal possibilities in this case. Okay, let's now add the second coil. This will get a little bit more quiet, but it will also get much brighter. This is with the tone control all the way up. And it is actually quite very nice for some bright and funky chords. Okay, let's now turn the tone control all the way down. Now at this point it kind of gets a bit too dark for my preference, but there might be a case where I would find this kind of tone useful. The coil switch can also act as a tiny boost. So for example, let's say I'm doing some clean chords. And I can switch from that to something a bit darker, but a bit louder. So the string height was a bit more difficult to adjust, but I managed to do that eventually. The intonation was quite easy to adjust, and you can hear that everything is, I hope, intonated correctly. Let's now add some effects on this and see how that might sound on this guitar. I'm just going to add a very simple distortion. It's not going to sound great because it's one of the built-in distortions from my computer, but it will give us a slight idea about how this might sound. This is now with both coils activated, which is a bit quieter and a bit brighter. So I can do and then I can use my coil switch to boost it a little bit. So as you could hear, this guitar actually works, and it sounds surprisingly quite well. I did not expect a pickup made out of microwave motors to make any sound in the first place, but to actually sound the way it sounds. So what more can I say now? This past month and a half has been a crazy journey in which I learned a lot about woodworking, guitar building. I had no previous experience in guitar building. I had no previous experience in woodworking. So I had to learn all of this in the last month and a half. I had to figure out how you put everything together and how everything works in a guitar. But the end result was so worth it. I am again extremely happy with how this turned out and what I could do with just some hand tools and a lot of patience. So I guess this is it. If you liked this build, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more stuff like this. I will probably post from time to time some of the fun things that I do around here. Also, big shout out to Crimson Guitars for hosting this competition. This has been an amazing opportunity for myself and other builders to come together and build something together. So yeah, keep an eye on Crimson Guitars Instagram and YouTube channel. Keep an eye on the Great Guitar Build Off Instagram page. I will link them all in the description. But for now, this will be it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to go and subscribe to Bogdan's channel and click like and hit that notification button, all that jazz. This competition is happening again next year, and I am very much looking forward to seeing what all of these guys do moving forward. So thank you for your support and for your involvement in the whole process. Yeah. Let's see what happens next.